Green Mountain Sword Shadow. Chapter 1 Xiaoqingshan's Defeat. 15-year-old Shen Qinglan stood on the top of Xiaoqing Mountain, the sword in her hand had been taken away, and the cold wind was howling by. Her eyes were staring ahead, and the boy who was once a head taller than her, Gu Yun's, was smiling and throwing her sword on the ground. Qinglan, you are still too tender. Gu Yun said lightly, as if the victory just now was just a game for him. Shen Qinglan gritted her teeth, endured the pain on her face, and whispered, next time, I will definitely win you. Gu Yun's just smiled lightly, and his figure disappeared at the corner of the mountain road. After that day, Shen Qinglan's heart planted the seeds of revenge. Chapter 2 Reunion in 2 years. 2 years flew by. Shen Qinglan is no longer the girl who is despised. Now, she is the 5th prince of the Great Zhou Kingdom, and Gu Yun's, the boy who once defeated her in Xiaoqingshan, has become the crown prince of the Great Zhou, indifferent and arrogant, and indifferent. In the palace garden, the two officially reunited for the first time. The sword in Gu Yun's hand was sharper than before, and his gaze was as cold as frost. Shen Qinglan looked up at him, but she couldn't hide a trace of complicated emotions in her heart. Qinglan. Gu Yun's voice was low, but with an unquestionable majesty. Shen Qinglan sneered, Your Highness the Crown Prince, do you still remember Xiaoqingshan's competition? Gu Yun's raised his eyebrows, as if to say, I will not forget. Chapter 3 The Pressure of Concubines. In the Great Zhou dynasty, the hierarchy between legitimate and illegitimate children was strictly enforced. As the only legitimate descendant of both the Changsun and Ji families, Gu Yun's held supreme status. Although Shen Qinglan was the 5th prince, he still held considerable suspicion in the eyes of the imperial family. And the second male lead, Luo Yuchen, looked down on Shen Qinglan extremely much. She came up from the town, and in Luo Yuchen's eyes, she was just an external trouble. Several conspiracies tried to put her to death, but they were all resolved by Shen Qinglan's wit. Shen Qinglan stood on the palace corridor, looking at the prince's mansion in the distance, secretly vowing in her heart, no matter what, she will never be trampled under her feet again. Chapter 4 Life hangs by a thread. One night, Shen Qinglan's identity was finally exposed. The orderer broke into her palace with a knife, and she was captured and executed. This is the fate you should bear, a woman from a small town out of town. Luo Yuchen sneered, the sword light flashing. Just when life and death were at stake, Gu Yun's jumped in from the window, the sword in his hand flashing with a cold light, and with one swipe he pushed the person giving the order back. Shen Qinglan held her breath and said coldly, His Highness the Crown Prince is going to kill me with his own hands to relieve his anger. Gu Yun's lowered his eyes, his voice was low and determined, I will marry you. Shen Qinglan was stunned for a moment, turned her head, and the corners of her mouth curled up stubbornly, I won't marry. Chapter 5 Chase in the Night Rain. On a rainy night, on the muddy road outside the palace, Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun's looked at each other. In the roar of thunder, Shen Qinglan's heart pounded, both frightened and pounding. Qinglan, you can't escape. Gu Yun's voice was low but irresistible, he stepped into the rain curtain, enveloping her like a dark shadow. Shen Qinglan pulled out the hidden dagger, but it seemed insignificant in front of Gu Yun's. She gritted her teeth, I won't be caught. The rain wet the clothes and the two of them. The gears of fate are quietly turning. Chapter 6 The Council of Shadows. In the secret room of the palace, the retainers of the Changsun and Ji families secretly gathered to discuss the exposure of Shen Qinglan's identity. How dare she hide it for 2 years, if the prince knows? An old minister whispered. Another young guard sneered, this out-of-state woman is just a pawn. However, Gu Yun sat in the main seat, his eyes deep. He clutched the jade scepter and, after a moment's silence, said calmly, if she dares to harm my family, she will be punished. Otherwise, she must not be touched. The Changsun clan and the Ji clan retainers exchanged glances, suspicions brewing in their hearts. The decisions of the Crown Prince's mansion were never to be challenged. Chapter 7 The Temptation Under the Moon. Shen Qinglan was arranged in the side hall, and the moonlight at night fell like silver powder. Gu Yun suddenly appeared and stood quietly by the window. What exactly do you want to do? Shen Qinglan's eyes were cold. Gu Yun's approached and whispered, I want to be sure whether you really hate me or care about me. Shen Qinglan was stunned, she didn't expect that this man who had made her suffer would face her emotions so directly. Don't be delusional, I only have revenge in my heart. She turned her head away, her eyes flashing with determination. Gu Yun's raised his eyebrows slightly, but did not force it, leaving only a long back disappearing into the moonlight. Chapter 8 Luo Yuchen's Conspiracy. Luo Yuchen secretly contacted the assassins outside the palace, planning to kill Shen Qinglan on the night of the palace banquet. He knew that as long as Shen Qinglan died, the prince's mansion would fall into chaos, and he would be able to reap the profits. On the night of the banquet, the lights were bright and guests gathered. Shen Qinglan wore a simple palace costume to hide her identity, but she still attracted countless sideways glances. Luo Yuchen smiled slightly, hinting at the assassin's actions. Just as the assassin was approaching, Gu Yun's appeared from a high place and blocked the fatal blow with one hand. The sword light flashed, and the assassin retreated in a panic. Shen Qinglan's nervous breathing calmed down slightly, but there was a sense of vigilance in her eyes. Does he want to protect me, or is he control me? Underscore 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 un. Chapter 9 The Fog of the Court. The palace of the Great Zhou is like a labyrinth, and the power struggle is more deadly than the light of the sword. Shen Qinglan was forced to adapt to this strange and dangerous environment. She secretly explored the secret passage in the palace and discovered the secret letters and maps hidden by the Chang Sun clan and the Ji clan, which recorded the layout of the hidden forces. This is not just a matter of my life and death, but a power game for the entire Great Zhou. Shen Qinglan said secretly in her heart. She decided to use her wisdom to secretly gather intelligence and look for opportunities to turn the tables. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 10 The Decision of the Thunderous Night. On a rainstorm night, thunder roared like drums, and Shen Qinglan stood alone on the palace wall. She knew that Gu Yun's would send someone to monitor her, and she also knew that Luo Yuchen might take action at any time. If you don't take the initiative, I'm afraid there will never be a way to survive. She muttered to herself. At this moment, a black shadow fell from the sky. It was Gu Yun's. The long sword in his hand was dripping with rain, and his eyes were cold. Qinglan, do you want to escape? Shen Qinglan's heart was shocked. What are you? What do you think? Gu Yun smiled slightly. If you don't leave, I won't let you go. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 11 The Secret Room Contract. Gu Yun's led Shen Qinglan into the secret room, surrounded by ancient runes and after images of chains. If you don't agree to my conditions, every step in the future will be full of dangers. Shen Qinglan looked at him coldly. I don't promise anyone. Gu Yun's lowered his head slightly, his tone pressing Shen Qinglan out of breath. I married you, not for your identity, but for your life. Promise me to at least let me protect you. Shen Qinglan felt a little helpless, but she was still stubborn. Protect me? I never needed protection. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 12 Mistakenly Entering the Illusion. One morning, Shen Qinglan was walking in the palace garden when she suddenly stepped into a fog, and the scene in front of her was instantly distorted. She saw Xiaoqingshan's competition in the past, and also saw Gu Yun's indifferent smiling face, and there were more possible death scenes in the future. This is an illusion? Or is it real? She exclaimed. A whisper came from the fog. Fate never waits for anyone. Shen Qinglan clenched her dagger and secretly vowed in her heart, whether it is fantasy or reality, she must control her own destiny. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 13 A Sudden Ally. Just after the illusion dissipated, Shen Qinglan met a mysterious woman, Lu Ruoxi, who claimed to be from Zizhu and had an intelligence network that was different from ordinary people. If you want to survive in the palace, you must cooperate with me. Lu Ruoxi said in a low voice. Shen Qinglan pondered for a moment and nodded. Okay, but I want to take the initiative. They two formed an alliance and began to secretly expose the palace conspiracy and find a way to fight against Luo Yuchen. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 14 The Shadow of the Sword in the Night. Late one night, Shen Qinglan was walking alone in the corridor outside the palace when she was suddenly assassinated by Luo Yuchen. The daggers were intertwined, the sword light was like rain, she dodged skillfully, and every breath was tense. Just when the assassin was about to succeed, Gu Yun suddenly appeared, a sword sealed his throat, and the shadow of the sword flickered in the night wind, cold as ice. Shen Qinglan gasped, shocked and angry in her heart. are you an enemy or a savior? Gu Yun's only left a faint sentence, Kinglin, you will understand. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 15 The Storm of the Palace Banquet. The Great Zhou Palace once again held a grand palace banquet, and nobles from all over the world gathered. Luo Yuchen secretly instigated and wanted to frame Shen Kinglin at the banquet. Shen Kinglin had already prepared and used the information provided by Lu Ruoxi to cleverly resolve many crises, which surprised Luo Yuchen. Gu Yun sat on a high place, his eyes swept across the audience like a knife. Shen Kinglin met his eyes, and his heart was both apprehensive and alert. This palace banquet is destined to become a storm of power and emotion. Chapter 16 The Pursuit in the Maze. Shen Kinglin ran in the secret passage in the palace, followed by Luo Yuchen's assassin. The secret passage is winding and twisting, and the stone lamp flickers in the shimmer, as if every step is stepping into an unknown danger. She silently thought in her heart, if you don't get killed, you will still have a chance to turn the tables. Suddenly, a dark shadow jumped out of the shadows, the dagger flashed, Shen Kinglin rolled and dodged, but crashed into another deeper maze. And Gu Yun's followed quietly, his sword followed like a shadow, cutting off every threat. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 17 The Rune of Breaking the Game. Deep in the secret passage, Shen Kinglin accidentally discovered an ancient secret room with runes engraved on the walls. Lu Ruoxi had mentioned that this was a secret Fu formation left by the Great Zhou ancient clan. She touched the runes, and the entire chamber flickered with light, as if telling an ancient prophecy. These runes, it seems to be closely related to the power of the prince's mansion. Shen Kinglin thought to herself. Gu Yun stood at the door and reminded in a cold voice, be careful, every step may change your fate. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 18 Luo Yuchen's counterattack. Luo Yuchen was furious when he learned that Shen Kinglin had discovered the runes in the secret room. He mobilized the most elite secret guards and launched a fierce pursuit. Shen Kinglin and Gu Yun's walked side by side, the sword light intertwined, like thunder and lightning flashing in the night sky. During the battle, Shen Kinglin found that her swordsmanship was becoming more and more mature, and she could even predict the opponent's movements, which made her more confident. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 19 The Mantra Under the Moon. After the battle came to an end, Gu Yun's and Shen Kinglin stopped under the moonlight. The courtyard after the rain was cold, and the two looked at each other, but they couldn't say 1,000 words in their hearts. Kinglin, why do you always reject me? Gu Yun's slow voice was like the wind on a cold night, piercing into his heart. Shen Kinglin stepped back slightly, I don't want to be tied up by people with love or power, I just want to be free. Gu Yun's was silent, under the moonlight, his eyes were as deep as the sea, both cold and untouchable. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 20 The Ghost in the Palace. Late at night, strange whispers came from the palace, as if ghosts were wandering. Shen Kinglin and Lu Ruoxi followed the sound and found a hidden door behind which was hidden a secret scroll of the royal family in the past. The history recorded on the scroll actually reveals the blood connection between the prince's mansion and the mysterious forces in other states. This could be the key to our comeback. Lu Ruoxi said in a low voice. Shen Kinglin looked at the scroll, her heart ignited with new hope, and she was secretly worried that this road would be more dangerous than ever. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 21 A Sudden Ally. Just as Shen Kinglin was flipping through the scroll, a mysterious boy appeared, claiming to be the messenger of the Zizhu Liuyun army, Yun Yifan. He brought news, a large army from other states was about to invade, which would have a huge impact on the royal family of the Great Zhou. Shen Kinglin and Gu Yun's looked at each other, and vigilance and anticipation flashed in their hearts at the same time. The appearance of Yun Yifan added variables to the originally complex palace situation and provided Shen Kinglin with new strategies. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 22 The Dark Tide of the Palace Banquet. A new palace banquet was held again, and all forces fought openly and secretly. Luo Yuchen tried to frame Shen Qinglan again, but was resolved by the secret formation arranged by Gu Yun's in advance. Shen Qinglan responded skillfully at the banquet and quietly exposed Luo Yuchen's conspiracy, attracting whispers from the nobles present. Gu Yun's eyes were like torches, looking at Shen Qinglan, his complex emotions surging like a tide. Chapter 23 The Stormy Chase. Luo Yuchen was unwilling to fail and secretly launched an assassination operation again, and even contacted gangsters and killers outside the palace. Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun started a chase in the woodland outside the palace, the sword light flashed in the mud after the rain, and the blood rain intertwined. This time, Shen Qinglan was no longer just a passive response, she took the initiative to fight side by side with Gu Yun's, showing amazing courage and swordsmanship talent. Chapter 24 The Truth in the Fog. During a chase, Shen Qinglan strayed into a fog and saw the phantoms of her past and the possible crises of the future. The phantom told her that the fate of the prince's mansion and foreign forces was intertwined, and if she did not take the initiative, she would always be held back by power and conspiracy. Shen Qinglan clenched her dagger and secretly decided in her heart, even if the road ahead is dangerous, she must control her own destiny. Chapter 25 Thunder Night. On a night of heavy rain and thunder, Luo Yuchen led the assassins to surround the palace. Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun's faced the enemy side by side, and thunder and lightning were intertwined over the palace, like the anger of heaven and earth. During the battle, Gu Yun's finally whispered to Shen Qinglan, "Qinglan, whether you want to or not, I will not let you get hurt." Shen Qinglan's heart was slightly shaken, but she was still stubborn. "I don't need your protection." Under the light of thunder and lightning, the figures of the two were intertwined into light and shadow, destined to change the power structure of Dazu and each other's destinies this night. Chapter 26 The Trial of the Secret Room. Shen Qinglan found a hidden stone door in the secret room in the palace, with strange runes engraved on the door, emitting cold light. Lu Ruoxi reminded her, "There are ancient trials hidden here, which can help you improve your swordsmanship and wisdom, but they can also be deadly." Shen Qinglan took a deep breath and pushed open the stone door. The scene in front of her was instantly distorted. She was in a floating light and shadow. Every step was like stepping into an unknown world. Chapter 27 The Realm of Light and Shadow. In the realm of light and shadow, Shen Qinglan saw various possibilities of her past self, Gu Yun's, and Luo Yuchen. The phantom transforms into a real battle scene, and she must make a choice within seconds or the illusion will truly harm her. Shen Qinglan held her sword and jumped up. Every dodge and attack was extremely precise, and her state of mind and swordsmanship were sublimated simultaneously in the illusion. Chapter 28 Gu Yun's Temptation. Gu Yun's quietly broke into the realm of light and shadow, and his appearance made the illusion even more complicated. "Qinglan, do you really care about me, or do you just want to prove yourself?" he asked in a low voice. Shen Qinglan looked up at him. "What I care about is my own survival, not you." Gu Yun's frowned slightly, but did not persecute. Her stubbornness made him both annoyed and moved. Chapter 29 Luo Yuchen's Hidden Arrow. Luo Yuchen was unwilling to fail, and with the help of the shadows in the palace, he sneaked into the realm of light and shadow, trying to assassinate Shen Qinglan. In the illusion, sword light, runes, and flashing light and shadow intertwined. Luo Yuchen missed a blow, but was cleverly countered by Shen Qinglan. Gu Yun suppressed him on the side, and the power of the three collided in the light and shadow to create thrilling sparks. Chapter 30 The True Face of Allies. Yun Yifan and Lu Ruoxi guarded the exit outside the realm of light and shadow, but at some point they revealed their true purpose. The Zizhu forces tried to control Dazu with Shen Qinglan's hands. Shen Qinglan was shocked, and Gu Yun's frowned. "Qinglan, you have been used." Shen Qinglan sneered, "Then I'll let them know that I'm not a pawn at the mercy of others." they three quickly joined forces and took advantage of the changes in the illusion to set up countermeasures. Chapter 31 The Thunderstorm in the Palace. Back to reality, thunderstorms raged in the palace, and it seemed that heaven and earth were angry. Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun's walked side by side, facing the turbulent political situation in the palace and plotting with Luo Yuchen. Her swordsmanship and wisdom are becoming more and more mature, and she begins to take the initiative to set up a situation and control more situations. Gu Yun's eyes flashed with appreciation, and he was a little softer. Chapter 32 The Dark Tide of the Palace Banquet. Another palace banquet, all forces gathered. Luo Yuchen made another move, wanting to sow conflict between the prince's mansion and its allies in other states at the banquet. Shen Qinglan had already been prepared, using wisdom to solve the situation, and even used the banquet arrangement to hint at Gu Yun's true intentions. Gu Yun stood on a high place, his eyes swept across the audience like lightning. Shen Qinglan responded confidently in front of everyone, and the two tacitly agreed. Chapter 33 The Temptation of Emotions. After the banquet, Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun's faced each other alone. Gu Yun's asked in a low voice, "Qinglan, if I bring it up again, will you agree to me?" Shen Qinglan's eyes were resolute. "I never promise anyone, including you." Gu Yun smiled slightly, but there was an imperceptible tenderness in his eyes. "I won't force it, but I will wait." This ambiguity and temptation are like the tranquility before a thunderstorm, which makes people palpitate. Chapter 34 Luo Yuchen's Despair. Luo Yuchen gradually noticed that Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun's were getting closer and closer, and the conspiracy was thwarted many times, and he felt resentment in his heart. He contacted the assassination organization privately to plan a larger operation, even at the cost of offending royal rules. After Shen Qinglan and Lu Ruoxi learned the news, they immediately set up defenses and prepared for a life and death battle. Chapter 35 Thunder Sword Duel. Late at night, thunder and lightning were raging outside the palace, and Luo Yuchen led the assassins to launch a surprise attack. Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun stood side by side, sword light and thunder and lightning intertwined, and in just one night, the battle was as raging as a storm. In the end, Luo Yuchen was forced to retreat, and Gu Yun lowered his head and said to Shen Qinglan, "Qinglan, your swordsmanship is enough to match me." Shen Qinglan's heart was slightly moved, but she was still stubborn. "I'm not fighting for you, I'm for myself." Under the lightning light, the shadows of the two intertwined, and the gears of fate quietly accelerated. Chapter 36 The Storm of Identity. In the Great Zhou dynasty, Shen Qinglan's identity was suddenly exposed. She was not only the fifth prince, but also related to the bloodline of the ancient Zizhu clan. The ministers were in an uproar, and the atmosphere in the palace was instantly tense. Gu Yun sat on a high seat, his eyes were like swords, and he said coldly, "I will handle this matter." Shen Qinglan's heart was shocked. She knew that this moment would determine her life, death, and status in the palace. Chapter 37 Luo Yuchen's conspiracy is exposed. Luo Yuchen intended to take advantage of the chaos to seize power, and united some nobles who were dissatisfied with the Changsun and Ji clans. Shen Qinglan secretly used Lu Ruoxi and Yun Yifan to collect evidence and make Luo Yuchen's conspiracy public. Gu Yun's looked on coldly, both angry and relieved in his heart. "Qinglan, you are no longer the girl who was despised." Chapter 38 The Life and Death of the Court. Luo Yuchen gained power and launched a surprise attack in an attempt to seize power in the palace. Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun led the loyal ministers to fight, and the palace corridor became a battlefield of sword light and blood rain. Her swordsmanship and resourcefulness caused Luo Yuchen to be repeatedly frustrated, while Gu Yun stabilized the situation. underscore 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 un. Chapter 39 The Oath of Thunder. In a decisive battle, thunder and lightning suddenly struck, and the palace shook. Gu Yun's whispered to Shen Qinglan, "Whether you want to or not, I will protect you until the end." Shen Qinglan's heart trembled slightly, but she was still stubborn. "I don't need to be protected, I want to control my own destiny." In the thunder, her figure shone like a god of war, and the tacit understanding between the two became stronger and stronger in the crisis. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 40 The Reappearance of the Illusion. Luo Yuchen used the ancient illusion technique to trap Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun's into the illusory world while fleeing. In the vision, they saw each other's fears and possible future tragedies. Shen Qinglan clenched her sword and secretly told herself, whether it is fantasy or reality, she will break through with Gu Yun's. Gu Yun said in a low voice, "Qinglan, this time, I won't let you leave me." Underscore 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 un. Chapter 41 The Battle of Breaking Illusions. In the illusion, Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun's fought side by side, facing various crises set by Luo Yuchen. Every dodge and attack was as precise as a dance, and the two of them reached the pinnacle of tacit understanding in the battle. In the end, Shen Qinglan used her wisdom to crack the illusion talisman formation, Gu Yun's cut off the last phantom with his sword, and the two returned to reality. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 42 The Duel in the Imperial Palace. Luo Yuchen returned to reality and tried to provoke civil strife in the palace. Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun's had already learned of his conspiracy and trapped him in the palace secret room. "This time, you won't have another chance," Gu Yun said coldly. Luo Yuchen was terrified and was eventually taken into a confinement room, and the power struggle came to an end. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 43 The Emotional Outburst. The Great Zhou Palace was calm, and Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun's finally faced each other's feelings. Gu Yun's lowered his eyes and his voice was hoarse. "Qinglan, I don't care what happened to you in the past, I just want to walk with you." Shen Qinglan lowered her head slightly, warmth welled up in her heart, but she still remained stubborn. "I don't marry anyone, but I can walk side by side." At this moment, the emotions of the two reached a delicate balance, both stubborn and dependent. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 44 The Challenge of the West State Envoy. Yun Yifan, the envoy of Zizhu, appeared again and brought news. The army of other states was about to move, trying to take advantage of the civil strife in the Great Zhou to invade. Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun's decided to join forces to respond, not only to defend the Great Zhou, but also to prevent foreign forces from taking advantage of the situation. Lu Ruoxi provided strategy and intelligence, and the three of them worked together to formulate a plan to prepare for greater challenges. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 45 The Covenant Under Thunder and Lightning. On a night of thunder and lightning, Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun stood outside the palace, facing the upcoming foreign army. Gu Yun's held Shen Qinglan's hand and said in a low voice, "No matter what the future holds, we will face it together." Shen Qinglan's heart trembled slightly, and she responded softly, "Even if the road ahead is dangerous, I will not retreat." Under the lightning light, the figures of the two were like the legendary god of war, destined to rewrite the fate of the Great Zhou. Chapter 46 On the eve of the decisive battle. The army from other states is approaching the border of Dazhu, and tensions in the palace are about to erupt. Shen Qinglan and Gu Yun stood on the city tower, staring at the smoke billowing in the distance. "Qinglan, this time, we must go all out." Gu Yun's voice was low. Shen Qinglan held her sword with a resolute look in her eyes. "Not only fighting, this is our destiny, I will not back down anymore." In the night, the wind swept the flags, and the thunder illuminated the determined figures of the two. They were in tune and ready to face the final trial. underscore 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 un. Chapter 47 The Battle in the Thunder and Fire. On the battlefield, thunder and lightning clashed, and the fire reflected the faces of the soldiers. Shen Qinglin and Gu Yun stood side by side and rushed into the enemy formation. Her swordsmanship has reached the realm of transformation, and every move and style is extremely precise. Gu Yun's accompanied him like a shadow, and the two of them attacked and defended like two dragons dancing together, shocking the enemy. The foreign army suddenly fell into chaos and the command was disorderly, and Shen Qinglin's wisdom and Gu Yun's power complemented each other, and the battle situation gradually leaned towards Das Hu. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 48 Luo Yuchen's Final Calculation. Luo Yuchen launched the last wave of conspiracies in the palace in an attempt to seize power and take advantage of the chaos to establish himself as king. Shen Qinglin and Gu Yun quickly stopped it. They won with their wits and trapped Luo Yuchen in the palace secret room. Your ambition ends here, Gu Yun announced coldly. Luo Yuchen was finally desperate. His plan was completely dismantled, and the shadow of the past dissipated in the court. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 49 Victory and Calmness. After the war, order was restored to the Great Zhou, and the foreign army was forced to retreat. Shen Qinglin stood on the city wall, overlooking the bustling capital, and felt calm in her heart. Gu Yun walked to her side and whispered, Qinglin, this time, I want to officially ask you, are you willing to walk with me, regardless of life or death? Shen Qinglin smiled slightly, her eyes flashing with perseverance and tenderness. I don't marry, but I am willing to stand side by side with you and control my own destiny. They. Two of them held their hands tightly, with the afterglow of thunder in the wind, destined to become legends. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 50 The Shadow of the Green Mountain Sword. A few years later, Shen Qinglin and Gu Yun ruled the Great Zhou dynasty side by side, and although the court conspiracy had not completely dissipated, the power and wisdom were firmly in their hands. Zhaoqingshan is still standing, and the sound of the wind seems to echo the competition and oath of the two back then. Shen Qinglin drew her sword and stood on the top of the mountain, recalling the defeat when she was 15 years old, but she had no regrets in her heart. Gu Yun stood beside him and smiled, from defeat to now, you are invincible. Shen Qinglin smiled and did not answer. The sword light was like a rainbow, reflecting her and Gu Yun's figures. Under the green mountains, the sword shadow lasted like a legend.